What's up everybody and welcome back to the channel. Originally I planned a different video for today, but a Twitter post and a Reddit post made by People Can Fly Studios about the damage mitigation and survivability that many players find that has become a problem since the 30th April patch. Because of these statements, I decided to do this video instead. Now bear with me because this is basically unscripted and I'm gonna try and keep it as short as possible, but you know me, I like talking. But seriously though, there are some interesting developments, I guess you could say, and I just want to sort of go through them and sort of sketch an idea of where we are right now. A disclaimer, I guess, is that firstly, in this video, obviously, I will use generalities like us and them and this and that. But I want to be clear that I don't have a side in this. I'm not on the side of people that use the emergency stance or didn't use it or are against bugs or aren't against bugs. Actually, it makes me sad that there are sides in this because in the end, we all just want a game that works. But either which way, again, if I talk about us and them and everything like that, it's again, I haven't chosen a side or anything like that, and I won't ever because it just doesn't make any sense to me. But also that this video is my observation on this, and I don't necessarily have a solution, especially by the end of this video. And there's also no conclusion, actually, because this is a situation that is still developing. And as we look at the information that we'll discuss, you'll see that this is far from over. So for the sake of framing, let's just discuss timeline and basically everything that happened since the patch on the 30th of April. And that's essentially gotten us to the point where we are now. So, of course, on the 30th of April, a patch is released. This patch is meant to, it's a fairly large one, it's meant to address a whole bunch of things, but let's focus on essentially what went wrong. And so basically the patch does something to armor values on gear, which allows vendors to sell armor, that gear with armor on that's literally 20-30k, essentially double what it's supposed to be in the game or what it has been until currently in the game. Killing spree is nerfed for its duration, is taken down. Revival times in co-op is really screwed, and people can't revive each other, and a whole bunch of new login issues are introduced. I guess primarily driven from the Xbox side, but of course just generally affecting quite a few people. Immediately People Can Fly Studios start addressing these issues, and within the next 2 to 3 hours or something like that, they do hot fixes and things like that to essentially solve largely most of those issues, except I believe the login issues persist over the weekend. Of course, the weekend starts, people start playing or continue on playing, and you start seeing these, videos on YouTube, posts on Reddit, everything like that. People saying, I was able to do this before, now I'm not able to do this. I'm taking more damage, my damage mitigation isn't activating, my abilities aren't activating, all of that. And essentially right here the community splits between people going, yeah, you see, you were using emergency stance and now you're fucked because you have to learn to play and blah blah blah. And you have people on the other side going, I never used emergency stance, there's a problem with damage mitigation, I am taking more damage now, why am I getting one shot now, I wasn't getting one shot on Thursday, I wasn't using emergency stance, blah blah blah. Now 2 days after the weekend, we get a tweet and this post from People Can Fly then, and essentially them asking for more data. Now, right off the bat, if you look at the statement here, there's something interesting that jumps to, and I'll just read this little part here, and it says, actually, it's quite a big part, but bear with me. So first up, our latest patch did not intentionally change any formulas which would have directly caused this. We did not make armor weaker or enemy stronger. If we did, every single player would be feeling the effects of that. Fair. Rather, it looks like there's a bug which may temporarily strip away a mechanic such as armor mitigation, for example, for some players under certain conditions. That's super vague, but okay. Here's what we know so far. We've been tracking a similar issue with damage mitigation since before our last patch released. As we were unable to find a consistent reproduction of it at the time, it was not addressed in the latest patch, and our investigation is ongoing. This thread will help us to further identify the cause. And of course, the idea with this thread on Reddit is that people should say exactly what's going on. There's a whole fault report form underneath there, and they even ask for you, if you can submit gameplay, then go ahead and show that as well. But here's the part that I wanted to draw your attention to. The next portion here says, what makes our investigation a little harder is that previously bugged mods, such as Emergency Stance and Perseverance. Now, I'm assuming they mean Perseverance Shield, were fixed as part of the patch. The difficulty of the game for users who were relying on such mods has increased, of course, because that crutch is gone now. Fine. Additionally, it's possible that the bug status of these mods previously obscured this mitigation issue, which is why it may appear more prevalent now. Again, a fair point. The fact that these were so broken, it basically eliminated the need for mitigation at all. And so players built these glass cannon builds, and now that these two, and remember now, it's Perseverance Shield and Emergency Stance that's being referred here, and this is an important point that I'm going to circle back on now. Now that these two mods have been corrected, suddenly people are noticing, oh shit, I'm actually quite fragile because I have no other mitigation. That's fine. Now, we need to separate out genuine bugs with damage mitigation from reports that the game has become harder overall due to the mod fixes. Such feedback is still useful, but it's not relevant in this particular investigation. Now, just the last part here, this by no means insinuates that the damage mitigation issue does not exist. We fully acknowledge that there's an issue with damage mitigation for some players at this point in time. Okay, so just quickly want to refer back to the patch notes from Friday, where it's very clearly indicated under the gear and mod section that they fixed the bug that caused the emergency stance mod's damage reduction buff to not be correctly in, but Perseverance Shield is not mentioned. Now quickly, just a side note here. If I was a betting man, then I would say that the issues from this mitigation and scaling stem from another area that's highlighted in the patch notes where they made some changes. And that's where I think maybe, and this is just conspiracy theory, tinfoil hat, whatever, just a thought from my side, but I think that this is where the problem is stemming from. And it's particularly this area here that says rebalance, the over leveling system / scaling multipliers have been adjusted. The system will activate one level later when your average gear. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but essentially the statements here basically say that outgoing damage has been reduced to, will now be reduced less, and improvements made to incoming damage scale, meaning players will feel more powerful overall. In actual fact, what many people are complaining about is the exact opposite of this. So this brings us full circle to why I say that People Can Fly Studios have put themselves in a bad position. They continue to make changes to the game and to mods in the game without actually noting those changes in the patch notes or being completely clear with what they're changing. And you are going to upset a portion, not all, but a portion of the people that play your game, because they are unable to understand why certain things work the way they work and why they don't work and why they worked yesterday and why they don't work today. And until that, level of granularity is addressed from their side, you will constantly have these sorts of issues. But furthermore, this whole thing is indicative to me of a studio that is trying their best to please everybody. And this is something that I think I've mentioned before, but I'll unpack that a little bit further right now. But also the other thing that concerns me is that it seems like we have a studio here that they don't test their patches before they bring them out, or worst case scenario, they don't even play their own game. Because I believe it would have been very, very easy to spot these issues within the first couple of hours of logging in on Friday. So at this point in time, I also just want to say that I believe that this video might be coming off incredibly negative towards People Can Fly Studios or the game in general, but I want to be clear that I'm not stopping playing the game. I'm not playing it less. I'm playing it as much as I used to. I'm still doing CT15s. I'm still, leveling characters. I'm still carrying on, and I'm not going to stop anytime soon. But they have, and they being People Can Fly, have unfortunately created a situation in the game now where, and some people have made these comments in some of the videos, is that they've created a situation of the people that have, over the course of the month that the game's been out now, benefited from these bugs which took so incredibly long to address, and you have people that are either just starting out now or didn't know about it or didn't benefit from it and somehow feel cheated by this. Now, this is no new thing to games like Division and Destiny, basically games as a service, or games that Outriders is trying to emulate, their formula of online co-op, kind of aspect. And the issue is that People Can Fly Studios took a month to address the emergency stance bug, which allowed a whole bunch of people to essentially farm content to death and get everything that they needed from the game. And there are going to be people that are going to look at that and say, yeah, but that's unfair. This person has gotten X legendaries and been able to do this and been able to do that, and I can't do that now because you've now fixed this bug. Does it make the people who used the emergency stance right or wrong? No. Does it make the person who feels cheated by this right or wrong? No. But we're all in this situation. Take, for instance, the DLC rifle. This is a very kind of similar thing, but for some reason, maybe not seen in the same light. There are many people that essentially farmed this weapon and tried to get an extremely high damage roll from it, and they were able to do that, and now consequently have a top tier damage-based weapon with 2 really good mods, basically bone shrapnel and whatever else you put on there, killing spree or whatever. And this is an immense help to their character, which once again is one of the things that was fixed on Friday. And you can't exploit this DLC weapon like this anymore. You can't do the variant roll thing and get these high rolls anymore. So that's gone. So anybody that comes now and sees this content on YouTube, sees people with these weapons, and turns around and says, how can I get my hands on one of those guns, is met with the response that, oh no, that was a bug that was in the game for a month and people were able to get these guns, and since then that's been corrected and there is no way for you to get a weapon like this. Does it mean that your character is fucked and you can't do anything because you can't get a weapon like that? No, of course not. It's something that once I saw this bug in the wild, I actively tried to get myself weapons that can become replacements for those weapons if I use them. So yeah, you can obviously get past this, but the point is that you are again going to have people that look at this and say, but you have so many people that benefited from this and you haven't taken those weapons away. You haven't normalized it. You haven't given me my own version of it. Why can I not have that as well? And that's human nature. That's going to be that way. For the last part of this video, I guess, again, tinfoil hat, but the point is we still haven't seen the inventory restore, and we still haven't seen the appreciation package. And these two things are also going to be something that is going to be highly scrutinized by the community at large, because the point is, they've already indicated, again, they meaning the studio, have already indicated that the restoration of items is going to be done differently for different players. So again, unless they do this in a way that is uniform across the board, you are going to have certain players that say, I saw screenshots of this guy got this in his restoration package and his weapon was this level of damage, but I only got this. So same thing with the appreciation package. If those appreciation packages roll randomly, for instance, just as an example, you're going to have people that get from their appreciation package a 99k amber vault, for instance, where somebody else is going to get an 85k this and that. And I'm just speculating here because they haven't indicated how they will build those appreciation packages, but these are for people that suffered during that launch weekend, and consequently this was something that the studio suggested that they wanted to give from their side. But again, if they let this be random, if they let this be completely left to chance, you're again going to have the situation where people are going to complain about that. So at this point in time, they have to take a stance, I guess, and basically just fix the game. And if by fixing the game you take away things which aren't supposed to be there, that's what needs to happen. If by fixing the game you take away crutches that players were leaning on and were able to do easier content with, so be it. Because if they keep cherry picking what they fix and when they fix it, you're constantly going to have this haves and haves not situation within the game. That's it for today. Thank you very much, especially if you stuck around this long. The video that I actually wanted to release today, I might still do later today, otherwise tomorrow, depending on if I can finish up, in terms of time. But thanks for joining, and go ahead and comment down below how you feel about the situation, what your experiences has been with it, what your plans are, you know, how this has affected you. And obviously subscribe to the channel if you enjoy content like this, discussions like this, and some of my other videos. Of course, there's a lot of theory crafting in some of my other videos as well as a lot of data sets and stuff. But this kind of analytical approach is something that I bring to the game, or want to bring to the game. So if you enjoy something like that, then obviously go ahead and subscribe. It'll be lovely to have you. But other than that, I want you to have a great morning, a great afternoon, and a great evening wherever you are. And until next video, fucking cheers.
They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me. They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me.